This video synthesizes weekly intelligence drawn from the AI4Lib community as of April 2026 and has been prepared specifically for library professionals, academic administrators, and information policymakers. Artificial intelligence is no longer a peripheral concern for our field. It is reshaping the very foundations of how libraries operate, how users discover knowledge, and how information professionals define their professional identities. Over the course of this briefing, we shall examine 4 distinct but interconnected dimensions of this transformation, beginning with operational workflows and concluding with the evolving profile of the library professional. This conceptual framework is for understanding how artificial intelligence is transforming information science. The transformation has been systematically categorized across 4 domains. First, operations and workflows, which encompasses the automation of cataloging, repository management, and routine library management system tasks. Second, discovery and user experience, reflecting the shift from keyword-based retrieval towards semantic and intent-driven research support. Third, ethics and academic integrity, which addresses the complex challenges of copyright, plagiarism, and the limitations of AI detection tools. Fourth, the future professional, which examines how librarians are transitioning from physical curators to digital data strategists. Each of these domains will be examined in turn across the slides that follow. This slide illustrates a 4-stage pipeline that demonstrates how artificial intelligence can substantially automate the cataloging workflow. The process commences with the capture of a book image, which is then processed through a custom GPT-based classification system, notably, without requiring any programming expertise. The system generates a standardized MARC record, which is then imported directly into library management systems such as Koha or Ex Libris Alma. Of particular significance is the accessibility milestone noted here. DSpace 9.2 can be installed on Windows 10 and 11 using verified, replicable methods, thereby removing the traditional dependency on Linux environments for digital repository management. This development substantially lowers the barrier to digital repository adoption in institutions with limited technical infrastructure. This slide presents a comparative analysis of traditional library discovery systems against the AI-powered search implemented at Yale University. Traditional systems rely upon rigid keyword matching, producing isolated and literal results. The user bears the burden of identifying the precise terminology required by the system, and retrieval remains confined within disciplinary silos. Yale's AI-powered approach, by contrast, employs context-aware semantic understanding. The system interprets natural language intent, generates intent-driven and interconnected resources, and automatically surfaces cross-disciplinary connections that a conventional keyword search would overlook. The underlying principle is significant. Artificial intelligence in this context enhances the discovery system to align with how human inquiry actually proceeds, rather than replacing the intellectual curiosity that drives that inquiry. This diagram provides a concrete illustration of the intent-driven discovery concept introduced on the preceding slide. Consider a user who enters the query, "Climate Change Policy." A traditional keyword system would retrieve documents containing those precise terms. An intent-aware semantic search system, however, recognizes that this query carries multiple dimensions of scholarly interest. As the diagram demonstrates, a single query simultaneously surfaces resources across 4 interconnected domains: historical environmental legislation, economic impact studies, political debates, and global agreements. This cross-disciplinary retrieval saves considerable research time and reveals connections that the user may not have anticipated. The conclusion is clear: semantic search fundamentally reorients the research process from document retrieval to comprehensive knowledge discovery. This slide addresses one of the most ethically consequential dimensions of AI integration in academic settings: the boundary between acceptable use and academic misconduct. Drawing on scholarship by Floridi and Chiriatti, Cotton and colleagues, and Cohn writing in Nature, the slide delineates two categories. Acceptable use includes brainstorming, outlining, and text drafting, editing and shaping AI-generated output with substantive human insight, and disclosing AI assistance in accordance with institutional guidelines such as those issued by Elsevier. Academic misconduct, by contrast, involves replacing original scholarly thinking with AI-generated content, claiming AI as a primary author, a practice explicitly prohibited by Springer Nature, presenting AI-generated work as fully human-authored without disclosure, or reproducing existing material without proper attribution. Libraries, as institutional stewards of academic integrity, are positioned at the forefront of this policy landscape. This slide examines a critical and frequently misunderstood problem in AI governance: the unreliability of AI detection tools. The bell curve diagram illustrates that the probability distributions of human-authored and AI-generated text overlap significantly, creating a false positive zone in which human writing is incorrectly classified as AI-generated. Three key findings emerge from the research. First, detection tools produce probabilistic estimates, not definitive proof of AI involvement. Second, binary, AI versus human, classification models are conceptually outdated in an era where AI-assisted writing is widespread. Third, using multiple detection tools in combination does not improve reliability. The institutional conclusion is unambiguous: AI detection tools currently lack sufficient scientific validity to serve as evidence in academic misconduct proceedings. This slide addresses a technically complex but strategically critical issue for libraries and archives: the capacity of large language models to reproduce copyrighted material. Research by Kalini and colleagues demonstrates that, through fine-tuning and targeted plot summary prompts, LLMs can achieve near-verbatim recall of copyrighted texts at rates of 85 to 90%. The diagram illustrates how copyrighted works, once compressed within a language model, can be extracted through specific prompting techniques. This structural characteristic fundamentally challenges the fair use defense that has been invoked to justify training data practices. Models do not merely learn linguistic patterns, they store and can reproduce original works. This raises profound intellectual property questions that libraries, as custodians of published knowledge, are uniquely positioned to engage with. This slide charts the trajectory of library science careers in the context of AI-driven transformation. Traditionally, the profession has centered upon the management of physical collections, manual cataloging and metadata entry, and keyword-based reference assistance. The AI era introduces a substantially expanded set of emerging roles: digital archivist, data curator, research data manager, and information systems specialist. The core competencies required for these roles include digital data management, algorithmic bias auditing, fluency with AI and automation tools, and predictive collection development informed by user analytics. The framing offered here warrants emphasis: the field is not in decline, it is expanding. Routine tasks are being automated precisely so that information professionals can dedicate their expertise to higher-order functions of knowledge curation and research support. This final slide distills the central thesis of the entire briefing into a single declarative proposition: the routine is automated, the judgment is human. Three dimensions of this principle merit attention. In terms of operational shift, AI assumes responsibility for MARC record generation and library management system integration, thereby releasing human bandwidth for strategic work. In terms of ethical oversight, AI cannot serve as an author. Human professionals must evaluate outputs, identify bias, and ensure appropriate attribution. In terms of curatorial strategy, while AI discovers patterns and predicts collection needs, It is the human professional who defines the strategic and ethical direction of the collection. The conclusion of this briefing is therefore both clear and affirming. AI is not replacing the library professional, it is elevating the role from manual curator to strategic, ethical guide. Thank you for your attention. Questions are welcome in the comments below.